Mr. Holt, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, if I may. I'd like to get at really one of the central questions that has been raised and ask our colleague, Ms. Maloney, a few questions. Do you think, Ms. Maloney, that the Bridger Forest and the Sawtooth Forest and the Wallowa areas belong only to Wyoming, Montana, and Oregon?
Federal lands belong to all of the American people. And they belong to every American, every taxpayer, every citizen.
Do you think that Central Park and the Statue of Liberty only belong to and are of interest to the people who live in the 5 boroughs of New York City?
Well, Congressman,
or New York, or
obviously,
New Jersey,
the Statue of Liberty is on our coins. It's a respected symbol of our democracy, our opportunity, and it belongs to all of the residents in our country.
Do you think when the Statue of Liberty found some structural problems that only structural engineers from Manhattan would have anything intelligent to say about the management of the structure?
Certainly not. It belongs to the American people, and certainly any engineer in the country has a right to express their opinion of how they feel about the Statue of Liberty and how it should be repaired or used.
And do you think that for the roughly 399 million people who do not live within sight of the Statue of Liberty, that they have to visit it daily or weekly in order to value it?
No, Congressman, I think you're very appropriately pointing out that you don't have to visit it, although I visited many times, but you can support it with your vote, with your voice, and never have the opportunity or the privilege to go there. In fact, Congressman, when we created the 6 million state park, the deciding vote in the New York State Legislature was a woman who said, "I will never visit that park, but I want it to be there for next generations. I want to make sure that the streams and land and animals are protected," and that was a deciding vote, a very historic and important deciding vote.
I have noted that in my efforts to look after some of the national parks in the West, I've gotten impassioned appeals from people in New Jersey, some of whom have never seen those parks and never expect to, for me to redouble my efforts to preserve them. Let me ask one other question. One of my colleagues referred to reference to wildlife corridors in here and said whatever they are. In putting this bill together, have you consulted with wildlife biologists and ecologists to determine whether the concept of corridors is a modern concept of ecology and wildlife management?
Absolutely. In fact, the corridors were written into the bill and designated by scientists. Within this region is the last remaining caribou and the grizzly bears, and when a bird flies from one area to another, they're not thinking about you know, the state lines. They're thinking about their natural habitat and where they move, and as we really become more industrialized, we have to work harder to make sure that we protect the habitat, the animal life, and the nature. What is so perfect, I think very special about this bill is the corridors, and seeing this as a natural habitat, not as a distinctive state, but a natural habitat that's important to protect for the future in our country.
How many co-sponsors did you say we have at this point?
We have 79.
Ms. Maloney, do you think there is any one of those 79 members of Congress who comes from a district that is not affected by this legislation?
Well, I think everyone is affected, and I correct myself, it's 75 co-sponsors. We had well over 100 in the last one.
I would say that there is not one of 435 congressional districts, and we might add the territories, that is not affected by this legislation and would be affected positively by this legislation. I thank you for sponsoring it.
I thank you for your comments and your understanding and vision. Thank you.